Good netizens keep themselves and the people they interact with online protected by avoiding phishing and scams. A critical tool of the process of being safe in email and web usage is to understand the construction of a URL, or Uniform Resource Locator. Whenever we hover over a hyperlink in an email or a web page, our browser shows us where that link will take us. In this partial screenshot, my cursor is hovering over Modules in the menu of a Canvas course, and at the bottom left, my browser is showing me the URL of that hyperlink. What do all these words and punctuation marks mean? Let's break down the parts of this URL. Every URL starts with some letters and then the punctuation : // This is the protocol portion of the URL. By protocol, we mean how this data is being transferred over the internet. There are several kinds of protocols, the most common being hypertext and file transfer. When we click on a URL with an HTTP protocol, we are going to get a web page. When we click on one that is FTP, we are going to download a file. If you're not expecting something that is not one of these protocols, then do not follow the link. As for the two different hypertext methods, if there's any data you'll be entering that should not be available to the public, you want to use the secure HTTPS or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure method. Let's take a moment to learn how this works and why we need this for things as common as email. Let's go back in time a bit to October 4th, 1957. On that day, the Soviet Union launched the world's first artificial satellite. We were in the middle of the Cold War, and in response to the launch of Sputnik, the United States funded the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency and tasked it with winning the technology and space races. One of DARPA's projects was to create the Internet. One of the concerns of the time was how the phone company worked and the effects of a nuclear war on that communication system. When the telephone was invented, when you picked up the phone, you were connected with an operator at a central location. You would tell them who you wanted to be connected to, and they would literally patch your line to the line you requested with a cable that plugged into each line. Even by the 1950s, a lot of this was automated. The phone company was connected to every phone in the area. This centralized system can become useless in war. Enemies make places like telephone companies targets. Should an enemy blow up this centralized phone company, no one would be able to connect with anyone else. When you get on the internet, your entrance ramp is your internet service provider. When you request a web page, you send out some information about your computer so the internet knows who to send it back to. It also breaks up anything you're sending out, like results of responding to a form or an email or whatever, into things called packets, and sends them all off to your internet service provider. Then, using hot potato routing, each computer that receives these packets is supposed to look at where this packet is going and then find the next closest node on the internet and send it that way. As these packets go across the internet, like a hot potato, each computer checks to see where it's going and sends it along to the next closest node on the way to its destination. In this system, if one of the nodes is destroyed in a nuclear war or any bomb or attack, the hot potato routing system will find the next closest node and still get the packets to their destination. Now, all these nodes are all just computers connected to the internet, usually a bunch of internet service providers, maybe even your own ISP. They are not supposed to read the content of the packets. All they're supposed to do is look at where the packet is supposed to go and hot potato send it along to the next closest node on the way to its destination. But there are no internet police, and nothing can actually force these nodes to not read the packets as they go along. Billions of packets move through them every day, so reading all of the packets is not helpful or productive, but people try to steal information by writing programs called sniffers. Sniffers look for certain patterns. For example, a sniffer might look for the following pattern: number, dash dash number. If it looked for packets that had that pattern in them and then made a copy for themselves, they'd likely have a social security number and other critical information that they could sell to people who might use it to steal an identity or hack a bank account. The solution to this kind of activity is to encrypt the information. If I want secure information from the web server, I send that request to the web server showing that their site is HTTPS. That web server is paid for an encryption company to make a key that is both used by the computer encrypting the data and by the computer decoding the information. It's like a digital Captain America secret decoder ring. The web server uses the key it has on file and encrypts the information it's going to return and sends that back to me. Then it says, here's where you can get my key. And my computer uses that key to decode the packets I get from the web server, and a normal looking web page appears on my screen. It all happens as fast as anything that happens for you on the internet. In summary, always make sure the protocol portion of the URL is HTTPS for anything that needs to be encrypted. The next thing we need to know is the domain that we're going to. Many phishers will add a lot of letters and places to make it seem like you're going to the site you're going to when you're actually not. To determine the domain after the protocol, scan to the right and stop at the first slash. Then read back to the first period. In our example here, we read dot for the period and com for the TLD, or top level domain. Originally, there were only a few TLDs. Every country got their own TLD. The United States is .us, Canada is .ca, Germany is .de for Deutschland. Some countries like .tv is for Tuvalu, and .cc is for the Cocos Islands, a territory of Australia. These countries run registrars to sell domains with those TLDs and make a nice little profit for their people. Then there were three open TLDs, .com, .net, and .org. Anyone could and can register a domain name with any of those TLDs. .com was intended for commercial business. .net was for ISPs and other networks, and .org was intended for non-profit organizations. But since there was and is no organization checking that out, anyone can get domains with any of those TLDs by registering and paying their annual fee. Keep in mind, though, if you're purchasing from some company, make sure the site you are using has an appropriate TLD, or that you know and trust the domain the company is using. There were three restricted TLDs. .gov was originally for only the United States federal government. Now state governments can use it too. Vermont.gov is a legitimate domain name for the Vermont government. .mil was and is only for the United States military. .edu was originally only for four-year colleges and universities, but while still restricted, it has been opened up to other accredited schools like two-year community colleges like ccv.edu. In the early part of this century, the domain registrars were allowed to create new TLDs like .info, .coop, and more. Working backward from that dot next to the TLD, the domain name begins at the next dot going to the left, or if there's nothing to the left, just the slash of the protocol. There are rules about domain names, and phishers will take advantage of people who do not understand them. Domain names can use only letters, numbers, and hyphens. The hyphens cannot be at either end. Domain names are not case sensitive. They can be up to 63 characters long. If there's more than one dot between the colon / and the first slash after that to the right, then those are the names to servers. We see these all the time with our college. Our Canvas courses are published on the Vermont State College's VSC server on Instructure, as we can see in this URL. The website for CCV doesn't have any server names before it, but if you type www.ccv.edu, it will direct you to the website. www is how most network managers recognize the web server for a site. But type in support.ccv.edu and you get the site related to getting support at CCV, or heartness.vsc.edu is our Heartness library, which serves currently CCV and Vermont Tech. It's a server affiliated with the VSC domain. Any content to the right of the domain name between slashes are folders. If you've ever looked at the address bar in your file management system, you'll see it starts with a drive you're using, then each folder is shown with a slash, adding a slash each time you drill deeper into your file system. The same happens on websites. Finally, you'll often have access to a specific page or files. Files will usually have an extension at the end. Just like a Word document has a file extension of .docx, An HTML file will end with .htm or .html, but there are many extensions that can be used for web pages depending on how they're coded. If you see a question mark in the middle of a URL, that means anything to the right of that question mark is unencrypted information being passed along to the web server. For example, this URL has a question mark followed by t=544. This truly is a YouTube link. While the TLD is for the country of Belgium, Google bought the name YOUTU from Belgium, so they can have a shortened domain. Following the slash after the domain is the ID for the video clip. This is a clip we watch for presentations later this semester. T=584 will start the video at 584 seconds into the video, or 9 minutes and 44 seconds in. Let's take a moment to look at how phishers will manipulate URLs to trick people into thinking they're working with a company they know and trust. This link, trying to be Amazon, has the TLD of .com, which is what we expect, but www-amazon is the domain name, and that is not Amazon. This link is not Capital One, which is a popular national bank, using those servers to make it look like a legit domain name when the domain name is really myaccount-home.net. That's how phishers work. This link uses folders to get out a com in the word Twitter, but the domain name is just a jumble of random letters and numbers. Now that you're familiar with how URLs are built and work, you can better protect yourself from phishing. With your newfound information and good email and web practices, you can keep you and yourself safe on the web. Help your friends and family learn these tools as well. The safer the practices of the people we interact with online, the safer we all will be.